Hello, YouTube. As I said, I'm going to adjust the camera again because I am wondering if the resolution... No, resolution is what it is. Okay, that's what it is. I don't know if that's close or not, but it's not changing. So you're getting me however you're getting me. All right, let me get Instagram going. Instagram's big. I know that. Substack. All righty. Substack is working today at least. There we go. There we go. Substack is being good today. That's good. Hey, Substackers. I can see 4 of you already. Good. Hey, Chris G. All right. That's pretty good. And then TikTok. I am ready to. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Ashley Beese. My air is, of course, Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. I meant to put the fan on and I didn't, which means now I'm going to have to play with it even more, but that's okay. All right, TikTok.
Raise it 1 degree and turn on the fan.
Oh. I think it understood something else when I said fan. That's very funny. It heard me say turn on the fan, but I had a different device that I call fan. So nice try. Not exactly what I was looking for. There we go. TikTok's ready. Bleh, roving ready. I found my glasses. These are the glasses that I prefer. The little, what do you call those? Tortoise. They were in my laundry with the whites. I do laundry like once a week. I did the whites and what came out of the dryer, but these. I was like, all right, well, what do you do? What do you do? So at least so far they survived. So that's a good thing. Anyway, welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. Decent amount of news today. We're back at war again. We're even more at war with Iran, but Trump is doing his usual. We're at war, but we're not at war. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Basically waffling, which is sending a weak signal to the Iranians. So we're going to talk about that. Thank you, NYC. So who knows? But anyway, we're talking about Iran. We're talking about Trump. There's a lot of news today, but a lot of Trump news. So, there's always Trump news, but a lot of Iran news and Ukraine news too, actually. Decent, good, apparently good Ukraine news today. So we'll see. Hey, Galactic Goddess. Hola. Anyway, guys, so welcome. So the way the show works, as the regulars know, I prepare a ton of news, although now I've got it on the iPad since Jens or somebody had made the suggestion of not printing. I don't know why I didn't think of this, of not printing it out every day and using the iPad. I was like, duh. So now I do my Microsoft Word notes and read them on the iPad, which does work. I think I got used to paper. Like I like having paper. It's kind of feeling it in your hand and stuff, but still, what do you do? Anyway, but yeah, so keep the gifts coming, guys. As you know, I do this for a living, so I very much appreciate your gifts on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else. Super fans are always super welcome. Super welcome. Super fans are monthly subscribers, TikTok, YouTube, etc. So becoming a monthly subscriber, I do a special show on Saturdays for the monthly subscribers, Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, most Saturdays. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, with no further ado, let's get rolling. The big news today is Trump bombed Iran again a couple minutes ago. It's kind of a mess. Ceasefire is over, but it's kind of all over the place. I just did a video on TikTok about this, actually for YouTube and Facebook as well. It's a mess. It's all over the place and it's a mess. Basically, Trump reaches the ceasefire with Iran 3 weeks ago, but none of the important details were worked out. And we said, okay, it's a ceasefire that you're not blowing each other up. Allegedly, Iran was going to open up the Strait of Hormuz and they were going to negotiate Iran's nuclear program and this kind of crap. Well, big surprise, Iran, and again, hand motions I won't do. Iran was goofing off. We'll use goofing off as the hand expression. Was goofing off in the negotiations and just playing games and not negotiating at all, really. And they decided to attack 3 ships 2 days ago, or yesterday, actually, Tuesday. So Iran fired on 3 ships, 3 commercial ships, hit all 3 of them. All 3 of them were on fire. U.S. responded, Iran responded, U.S. responded. We're now blowing each other up again. Specifically, Iran is demanding that international shipping go within a very small lane of like Iran's territory, because Iran wants to be in control of all the shipping now. Iran was not in control of the international shipping before we attacked 3-4 months ago. Iran now says they're in control. Well, it puts us in a very bad spot, because what power do we have to say no? We can bomb them. Trump already said today, and again, he's such an idiot. I'm sorry, he really is. Trump said today, oh, we're not going to get into a big bombing campaign again. I don't see that happening. Well, if I'm Iran, I'm going, yay! Donald Trump just admitted that America is not going to get into a big bombing campaign against Iran again. Thank you, Donald, for telling Iran our strategy. And telling Iran our strategy is, don't worry, we may hit you a little bit here and there, but there won't be any more big bombing campaigns, because Donald Trump is a chicken. And he's not just a chicken, but he's an idiot who decided to go public and tell the Iranians that we weren't going to attack them. So it's a mess, guys. Iran wants control over the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, thank you, Blue. That was very sweet of you. Thank you. Iran wants control over the Strait of Hormuz. We don't seem to have much power to stop them. He's a chicken taco, exactly. We don't seem to have much power to stop them, and all hell's breaking loose. And frankly, this is not a surprise. I mean, this is not a surprise. Like, at what point did we not know that Iran wasn't going to negotiate honestly with us? I mean, Trump, God, he's just, I mean, the only thing good about this, it's not Tuesday, exactly. It's not Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Wednesday. I mean, and this is not good stuff. He's a pathological liar. And I have said before, Trump's lies are dangerous for America. It's one thing for him just to lie in his business dealings, whatever. I don't do business with him. But when he's the president of the United States and he lies, thank you, Mel, he puts all of our national security at risk. Trump lied and claimed most of the deal was done. He lied, right? He lied and said, oh, we're going to have a ceasefire. It wasn't a ceasefire. He lied and said Iran was going to open up the strait 100%. They didn't. Today, the numbers, by the way, this strait shut down again now. Oh, well, big surprise. The numbers, we got up to 41 ships. Usually the number is 130 to 150 ships a day that go through the strait. It got up to 40. So that would be 30% of the shipping of normal has been going through. That's not ceasefire, open Strait of Hormuz. He's a pathological liar. And the thing is, and I've said this before, it's one thing for Trump to be a pathological liar and a con man. But when he lies about things that we can experience the truth, then he's in trouble. When he lies about inflation and he claims inflation is gone, but we all live and pay, unlike him, thank you for the gifts on TikTok, we pay our own bills. We know inflation hasn't gone away. We know prices are still going up. We know gasoline, for example. Gasoline, thank you, Bonzo, for the fireworks. Gasoline is still 27% more expensive than it was before the war started, on average. We know that. So Donald Trump lies and says everything's back to normal. He can't do it. And the same thing with this. He lies and says, oh, Strait of Hormuz is open. But it's not. Only a third of the ships are going through. Like you can't, you're not Houdini. You can't hide it. He's going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear. He's going to make the ships in the Strait of Hormuz disappear or something. Like, we're not going to know how many ships are going through the Strait of Hormuz. We know how many. He lied. The Strait of Hormuz isn't open. He lied. Iran did not agree. Remember when he said Iran agreed to pretty much everything? He lied. I mean, this is what pisses me off with this guy. He's a con man. He's a freaking con man. And it is dangerous to our national security, and it's dangerous for all of us. Because now, we lost this war, guys. I don't know what we're going to do. And for him to sit there and tell Iran today, well, don't worry, we're not going to get into a really big shooting war. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. Breyer Gates, you're taking a timeout. People like you drive me bonkers. Just leave. Don't block them, but Breyer Gates gets a timeout on TikTok. I'm going to do like a little PSA, public service announcement for folks here. If you'd like to be banned for the rest of your life and piss people off, then run around the internet, and whenever people are outraged about something, say, "You're surprised?" Like you're the big cock of the walk, that you're big, special, smart person, smarter than everybody, right? You're surprised. it's a really mean, jerky, arrogant, obnoxious internet cliche that people use. It's been around for 20 years now. And it's an incredibly rude and arrogant cliche. Whether somebody means it or not, it's kind of hard not to mean it that way. Because what it really does, which is what pisses me off, is and I'm using it because also this is something just to educate the rest of you about this. It's a good way of basically shutting people down who are trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to educate you about how horrific it is what Trump is doing with Iran. And this person's trying to shut me down by going, "You're surprised?" Right? Like it's if they're not a troll, and I wonder if they're not, they might be a liberal. If they're not a troll, you're still successfully punishing someone and criticizing someone for speaking out against evil. Maybe you should have other priorities in your life. But no, I'm quite serious. It's an internet cliche, and it's ruder than F. And I'm just pointing it out because it's something that I've dealt with running online communities since 1995, literally that long. But some of you who don't run the communities might not be as familiar with comments like that. Okay, we'll move on. Well, it's rude. And frankly, it creates an incentive for people not to express outrage. Because if you're outraged about something, you're surprised, right? As if you're not supposed to be outraged. It's just, it's arrogant. In any case, he is just, So who knows what's going to happen now with the Iran stuff? Let me see some things here. On the Iran stuff, I've got the number of ships. Let's move to Ukraine, because this is kind of interesting. Trump sitting by. So all of this was happening today at the NATO summit in Turkey, and all of this is happening in Turkey today. Trump is there. Zelensky went, right? All kinds of stuff. Trump sitting next to Zelensky says about Iran. In one day, he's bragging about what we could do to Iran, right? In one day, we could knock down every single bridge in Iran. There's not a thing they can do about it. If we have to, we'll take them out. They have desalination plants to take salt out of the water so their people can drink. Otherwise, they would die. Thank you for the gift, Jackie. They have desalination plants. We'll take them out if we have to. Maybe we'll take over Kharg Island. As somebody, not one of the might have touched, this was actually one of the Pod Save guys pointed out, that would be a confession of a war crime, what Donald Trump is just doing right there. What he just said we could do and might do is a freaking war crime. If you take out the plants that are used to create fresh water for the Iranian citizens so that they die from a lack of water, it's literally a crime against humanity and a war crime. Yeah. Trying to mass exterminate a population, it's a war crime. Again, the good thing is that stuff he doesn't get away with the Supreme Court. That's the good thing. But he just, what else we got here? Actually, this still is Iran stuff. Listen to this. CNN Zach Cohen reports. So CNN Zach Cohen reports exclusive. Let me read this to you. U.S. military commanders bypassed warnings that intelligence on potential targets in Iran was severely out of date and approved some strikes, including one that hit a school, killing nearly 200 children and adults based on years-old info that was not updated before the war started per multiple sources. There's a lot chalked into that. Let me tell you this again, okay? Let me read the sentence again. U.S. military commanders bypassed warnings. They ignored warnings that our intelligence on potential Iranian targets was severely out of date. So our commanders were warned, guys, our intelligence is out of date. We don't know what we're hitting in Iran. We think we're hitting targets. We could be hitting any civilians, anything. It's way too out of date. Our commanders ignored it, including intelligence that hit a school, killing nearly 200. Remember the 200 young girls or 160 or so young girls that were killed at the school? Based on years-old information that was not updated, thank you, Heather, that was not updated before the war started. This is from CNN. The decision was made for expediency under pressure to provide targets at the start of the conflict, per two sources. So the decision was made, there was pressure from above, that would be Hegseth and Trump, to get some targets now. Hit as many targets now. I don't care if the targets are out of date. I don't care if we don't know if we're hitting a girls' school, right? Thank you, Sadie. Instead of a military factory, the pressure came from Trump and Hegseth to hit anything you can in Iran. They didn't care if they knew our targeting was wrong, was likely wrong. Again, that's a freaking war crime. You don't, and I've pointed this out before. I have defended hits on civilians by accident. Defending it meaning, and people have gotten pissed at me, but it's too bad. There's a difference between hitting civilians by accident and hitting civilians on purpose. But once you start to hit civilians through negligence, it starts to become the same thing. Meaning, if I legitimately try to hit a target and my intelligence was good, but it was bad, right? We got the best intelligence we could and we missed and we killed civilians. That's horrible. But quite literally, like Robert said, accidents happen in warfare. It sucks, but if you are required to do your best to not hurt civilians. And if you do your best and civilian gets hurt, it is unfortunate. It's not a crime. If you intentionally go after civilians, it's a crime. If you don't care if you hit civilians, it's a crime. And that's what this is talking about, is if you know you're in the military and your targeting evidence sucks, right? You know that your evidence years ago, like the evidence you've got, not the evidence, meaning the targeting information you've got 10 years ago, maybe it was good. Oh, Diana just bought a really, really nice gift. Thank you, Diana. That was sweet. Thank you so much. That was sweet of you. Thank you. The example, and this is what happened, that 10 years ago, your targeting was really good, maybe 20 years ago, but now it's bad. We don't have updated intelligence. We have no way of knowing if that military factory, according to the 10-year-old file, is still a military factory, or maybe it's a girls' school. And you say, I don't care, because the boss is putting pressure on me. He wants me to hit as many targets as possible. So I don't care if it's a girls' school, if it's a hospital. I don't care. I'm going to hit it because the boss wants me to hit things. That's a war crime. And I will also add, anybody in the military, and I am a lawyer. I went to law school, but I'm not a military lawyer. But I am strongly suspicious that anybody in the U.S. military that facilitated that mission, that hit that girls' school, based on the CNN story, you better get a freaking lawyer. Because I got news for you. This guy's going to be in power for another 2.5 years, and there's a really good chance somebody normal and moral and ethical is going to be in the presidency in 2.5 years. And if you had a role in hitting that girls' school in Iran, you better hire the best lawyer you can get. Because every single one of those people are going to be in real trouble. They're going to be in real trouble with congressional hearings, and they're going to be in real trouble in terms of a court-martial potentially. Because if you knew that you had bad intelligence and you went ahead with it because they pressured you from above, you should be in prison. You should absolutely be in prison if you did that. Because as my aunt in Greece said, your self-respect is worth more than some job, or in this case, the lives of 160 young girls is worth more than your job. If you know that you are targeting things that you don't know what the hell you're targeting, then you quit. You don't say, well, I'm going to kill civilians. Oh, well, it's my job. No, it's not your job. It's a war crime. It's the job of the Germans from World War II. It's the job of the Soviets to kill civilians. It's not your job as U.S. military. You will go to prison, and you still will not get off. It really pisses me. This stuff pisses me off. So decision was made for expediency under pressure to provide targets at the start of the conflict, per two sources. But it also directly contributed to the accidental strike on the school, sources said. The Pentagon is pressing everyone to move faster, one source said. A lot of former hedge fund people and made-for-TV personalities in the mix. But leaders at CENTCOM did not push back either. So in other words, you've got Hegseth being the TV personality, but the generals who run the damn thing, they didn't push back. The generals were ordered to fire at whatever they could, even if it was a girls' school. Now, they didn't say even if it's a girls' school, but they knew in their minds. You could be hitting civilians. We don't care. Just hit anything. Hegseth wants you to hit stuff. Trump wants you to hit stuff. And the generals, our generals, rather than saying no, decided to commit war crimes. Okay. Okay. Right? Maybe it's not the International Criminal Court, but these guys have committed war crimes. And at the very least, they could be court-martialed. At the very least. I know. International Criminal Court gets into that weird thing when you, actually, International Criminal Court, there might be jurisdiction. Remember the International Criminal Court, the issue, because Emil raised a question that U.S. isn't a member of the International Criminal Court. Remember, there's the issue of if you committed, thank you, Heather, if you pick your goat, if you committed the crime on the territory of the other country, and the other country is a member, although I doubt Iran's a member either, right? But there was some weird thing with Venezuela that we were looking at. Halloween goat. Nonetheless, good luck surviving a court-martial. Good timing on the sound, right? At the very least, every single one of those generals should be fired. And they should lose their pension if we have a way of them losing their pension. Frankly, they should be in prison. The generals that ordered this should be in prison. And it's, again, this is all the stuff we need to be looking into when we come back into power. I mean, we don't need generals that basically commit war crimes because they're afraid to say no. The generals were afraid to say no to the president. They were afraid to say no to Hegseth. So they decided to blow up a girls' school because they were afraid, because they were chicken, the CENTCOM generals. Well, you know what? Again, my aunt in Greece, your self-respect is worth a little more than some job, or the lives of 160 innocent girls is worth more than your job. But they wanted to keep their job, so they decided it was okay to kill a bunch of girls. And they did make that decision because they knew their intelligence was wrong. They knew absolutely they could be hitting a school, they could be hitting a hospital, they could be hitting anything. They could be hitting any civil. They could be hitting civilian homes. They didn't know what they were hitting because they knew the information was old. Thank you, Glitch, for the Stingray. And they didn't freaking care. And as far as I'm concerned, if you don't care what your bomb is hitting, then you're a war criminal. You have to make a good faith effort to make sure your bomb is hitting a military target. And if you don't freaking care that you know that your bomb is going after, nobody knows what your bomb is going after, then you're a criminal as far as I'm concerned. Right. Enter a territory sign up. Exactly. Really sick. Just really freaking sick. Anyway, the U.S. gas prices, I told you. New York Times is great. New York Times reporter to Trump. Listen to this. New York Times reporter says to Trump, last month you said Iranian leaders were very rational people, nice to deal with, strong and smart. Today you said they're scum, sick people, and being led by sick people. What changed? Trump, I got to know them, so. I got to know them, so. Oh, hey, Mustafa. Thank you for that. Mustafa just got 5 gift memberships on YouTube. Thank you for that. I don't know whether it shows me on StreamYard who gets them or not. We'll see if it shows me. Since I'm using an intermediary service, it's not showing me YouTube directly. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. But thank you for that. That gives you guys a membership for 1 month that you can join our Saturday show at 11 a.m. And also, I think it gives you some emojis and things you can use, I think. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, what else we got? Trump confused Iran and Japan today. That was kind of wild. So is it showing you, Jen? Because on my end, it's not showing me who's actually getting it. So hopefully it's showing you guys already. Good. Trump confused Iran and Japan today. Let me see which one.
I told this story yesterday. We had 111 missile shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. They were shot at the aircraft carrier. I told this story yesterday. We had 111 missile shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. They were shot at the.
We had 111 missiles shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. That's a pretty bad mistake. That's a really bad mistake to make. I mean, that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs kind of mistake to make. That's not like Iran, Iraq, right? Like I've made that mistake. I've like Iran and Iraq, like you kind of mix them up in your head. The Islamic Republic of Japan. Oh, and people like that little. He is cute, that little guy. Who's that? Vanity. Thank you, Vanity. The little stingray. He is cute. Thank you for that. Man, what a mess this guy is. Let me see what else we got here. What else? One moment here. Islamic Republic of Japan. Here's a story here. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. So Trump, actually, I think I've got this tape. Trump says we should have stolen Greenland during World War II. I've got a shorter version, I think. Let me see here. Hold on.
So one of the things we're going to be talking about is we're going to give a license to you to make.
Nope. One sec.
Do you have a question for President Putin?
Nope, that's not it. Hold on. This is it.
They said so. I would argue without you in this.
Hold on, get ready. Here we go.
I mean, just so that I was saying, Greenland is very important for the United States, but it's not important for Denmark. In fact, when Denmark was overrun by the Nazis in less than 1 day, Hitler beat them out in 1 day, took over, and they asked us to take care of Greenland. In fact, we took Greenland, and then stupidly we gave it back. We shouldn't have given it back to them because we're the ones that need it. We need it for protection of the world, not just the United States. And it's very important. It doesn't help Denmark, but it helps us. And it's very important for us. And again, they were defeated very quickly. Denmark was beaten in 1 day, less than 1 day, by the Nazis, by Hitler. And when this happened, they immediately switched it over to us. We owned it. We had it.
No, we
We were
didn't.
taking care of it.
He's
and
lying.
We gave it back, which is, I don't know why. I wouldn't have given the Panama Canal back either.
Let's put a finer point on this. Trump says the Germans invaded Denmark and Denmark lost in a day. And Trump claims they gave us Greenland to protect. Not quite. I looked it up. We signed an agreement to basically protect Greenland. Denmark still owned it, or whatever word you want to use. And the agreement said it is still ours, but we are giving the Americans military rights to put bases and things on Greenland because the Danes wanted to make sure that Greenland didn't get taken over by the Nazis, that they didn't put bases on there, but at the same time, they wanted to help the American war effort, right? So that's what happened. Trump just said during World War II, the Germans wanted to take Greenland from Denmark, and we should have taken Greenland from Denmark instead. In other words, during World War II, we should have acted like the Germans, like the Nazis in World War II. Really? Now, he's had a very checkered past on this issue. You know, some of the generals had mentioned, like he mentioned that he likes to read the book by the German leader. He's mentioned how he said he wishes he had generals like the German leader had. He said a lot of, he talked about how the German leader did a lot of good things, and his chief of staff had to tell him, Mr. President, you're not allowed to ever say that the German leader in World War II did good things. Like, that's something the American president can never say, right? I mean, look it up. This whole thing happened. And now Trump is talking about that the Germans in World War II wanted to steal Greenland from Denmark, and it was a good idea. We should have done it. Now, he goes, it was a stupid idea to return it. Well, the reason we returned it is because in World War II, we were the good guys. We weren't the bad guys in World War II. That's why we returned it. Only a maniac would think that your friend is under attack and gives you something for safekeeping when he's under attack. And, well, I mean, he gave it to you to protect. Why didn't you just keep it? What? I mean, this really is serious stuff. Like, what kind of person? Hold on, my temperature is not going down. It's pissing me off. I turned it down. There we go. Okay. Sorry, my thermometer was not going down. I mean, like, this is pretty sick stuff. The American president thinks that if a country an ally came to us in need, especially an ally in World War II when the Germans were invading that ally, and the ally came to us and said, please protect our territory if you can, right? Please protect our territory, and you can even use it to protect yourself with bases. That Trump's instinct was, hey, now I can steal it from you. I mean, this is the stuff that drives me nuts with Trump, that I wish people would call him more directly on, that quite literally say, Mr. President, you just suggested, thank you, Julie, you just suggested that the U.S. act like the Enzis in World War II. You just suggested that we literally do what they did. You just suggested that we should steal from our neighbors, that we should steal from our allies. If you think the United States should literally steal territory from our allies, then why should any of our allies even be our allies? Again, we talked about this before too. There was an agreement with Denmark. There was an agreement here. And Trump wanted us to violate the agreement and steal Danish territory. And again, I ask the question, why is any country in the world making any agreements with the United States? You should not trust us as far as you can throw us until this man is gone. But literally, I mean, it is so significant. I may have to do another video on this because I don't think I explained it nearly well enough about just how horrific it is what this man said, that we should just steal from our allies because, hey, they were in trouble. And they asked for our help, so they were vulnerable. We should have just stolen their territory. No, I mean, he's just a piece of, he really is. And again, people need to call him on it more clearly, I think, and just say, Mr. President, a journalist there ought to say, Mr. President, that's sick what you just said. You just compared the United States to the Germans from World War II. I didn't. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You said the Germans wanted to steal that land and you should have stolen it instead. How is that any different? It's no different. You literally wanted to do the exact same thing in World War II that they did in World War II. Your goal in World War II vis-a-vis Denmark was the same goal the Germans had in World War II vis-a-vis Denmark. Does that not give you pause? You think America should steal from its allies. Does that not give you pause? Why should any country in the world, this isn't CNN's fault. CNN did fine. But why should any country in the world negotiate with you in the future? There's another question. You claim you're the best negotiator on the planet. Why should anybody negotiate with you? You just admitted that you would have negotiated with Denmark and you would have broken the deal in order to steal their territory. Well, then why should anybody negotiate with you if you're just going to break the deal and steal stuff? You're no better than a mobster. You're no better than a criminal, right? Just complete POS, this guy. Complete piece of garbage. It really just boggles my mind. Absolutely boggles my mind. What else we got here? He raved about the Spanish too. Spain is a wasted cause led by bad people. Yeah, whatever. I don't know, JMC. How can anyone be patriotic voting this guy in? Because it's a cult. And there's a lot of bad people in the world, and a lot of them live in this country. Basically, they don't believe in democracy. It's fascism. I mean, it really is fascism. I've got a strong man that tells me what to do. They like that. Strong man tells me who to hate. They don't care if it breaks the law. They don't care if it breaks ethics. They don't care if it's unchristian. They'll find a way of making it Christian. It's a cult, unfortunately. The Air Force One. So this is pretty funny. Trump, I think Trump flew the new Air Force One that he got from Qatar to Turkey and then realized he was in trouble and didn't fly it home. And all the journalists were asking, and they said, why aren't you flying the new Air Force One home? And he goes, oh, we're flying it to other cities to show it off. You took the new Air Force One to Turkey, and rather than using it to go home, you've sent it on its own to other cities to show it off when you're not even there, so that you've got to hitch a ride home like a hitchhiker. So they had to send the other old Air Force One to take him home. Well, according to the experts, the problem is Mr. Brainiac, right? The Air Force One was supposed to take 2 years to remodel. It has to be remodeled for all the anti-spy stuff, security, you name it. Well, Genius had them do it in a couple months, and they realized it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe in Turkey. Turkey's, not necessarily safe, and it wasn't safe being near our enemy, Iran, in the middle of a war. So that he couldn't fly the new Air Force One home because he rushed the job. They did a shitty job, and it wasn't safe for him to use. Kind of sounds like, I don't know, the reflecting pool, right? Spend a lot of money, rush the job, and then it's a shitty job. What a surprise. In other news, so this is an interesting case. I don't know that we know yet what's going to happen with this. E. Jean Carroll is the woman who won the $5 million, actually more than that, but the $5 million lawsuit against Trump for sexually assaulting her at Bergdorf Goodman's, I can never pronounce that, a department store in New York City in the 1990s. And she won, and then Trump lied about it or said something publicly about it, and she accused him of defamation, and she won that too. So she won $5 million in this suit alone for the sexual assault and the defamation, and then she won a separate suit for defamation that's something like $83 million, something like that. The other one is still going through appeals. This one went to the appeals. It went to the Supreme Court. Trump lost. 83 million. Thanks, Dolphin. Went to the Supreme Court. Trump lost. And the judge today ordered the money to go to E. Jean Carroll, the $5 million. Now, what is interesting, two things to this. One, Trump, you may recall, already had to put up the $5 million. Once he lost the case, even to appeal it, he had to put up the $5 million. So the court has the $5 million already. And the judge ordered that she immediately gets the money. The question is, does she immediately get the money? Because Trump is appealing again because he appealed to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to take the case. Okay. But he appealed to the Supreme Court, and up until 25 days after the court says no, you're allowed to re-appeal to the Supreme Court. So Trump's lawyers today appealed once again to the Supreme Court. Most of the articles I found didn't get into the details there. One article I found on CNBC said that the judge that ordered the money to go to her today said, I don't care. Said, I don't care if you've appealed. The deal is she gets the money, she's getting the money. So what will be interesting to see in the next couple of days is, does she get the money or does it get locked up by Trump trying to do more of these appeals? We don't know. Pretty cool if she gets the money. The other 83 million, he's still appealing that to the Supreme Court. It hasn't gone there yet. So that money is still in limbo, or that case is still in limbo, but we'll see. Very interesting though. Very interesting. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. You know my apartment, hot and cold, hot and cold. Some Ukraine news. Thank you, Julie. Some Ukraine news, a good Ukraine news today across the board, actually. Trump gave Ukraine licenses to make Patriot missiles. Patriot missiles, shooting down incoming missiles, like anti-missile missiles. They're not cheap. They could be like a couple $1 million each or whatever it is. They're not cheap. Ukraine is out of them. They need more. Trump gave Ukraine the license to make them themselves. That's good. The concern is, and Phillips O'Brien, who's a professor at University of St. Andrews in, I think, Scotland, very smart military guy, he said today his concern is that it could take, he thinks this is bad. He says he thinks it could take years before Ukraine is ready to make these missiles. Somebody else, Germany or somebody else, got a license too, and it took forever to get it up and running. And he's concerned. He said, for example, Trump said that, I don't know if it's Lockheed or whoever it is that, makes them or whatever, that Trump hadn't even talked to Lockheed yet. I think it's Lockheed. Trump hadn't even talked to Lockheed yet. And that basically, you've got to work it out with the company first, work it out with Ukraine. His concern is that this could take years until these things could be built, and that Ukraine has no missiles until then. So I thought that was an interesting take from him. Let's see. I mean, he's very smart. Let's see. Hopefully, I mean, it's still good, but hopefully it's not, It's not a good thing that's going to take years. It is lucky. That's going to take years and years and years, right, for the licensing issues. What else do we have? This was interesting. Alex Pleitsis, who's a defense guy. I think he's a little bit pro-Trump personally, but maybe not. But he's a smart defense guy. Said today, I've been told that intelligence reporting has made it clear to President Trump that Russia's economy is in real trouble and Ukraine's battlefield successes have been causing significant Russian casualties and damage to Russian oil and gas. Putin is in a bad spot and POTUS, the president, knows it. Now, Mark Polymeropoulos, former CIA guy, had brought this up and said Trump likes winners. That basically, because Trump had a meeting with Zelensky today, he was great. He couldn't have been nicer. And he said, we're going to give you the licenses, so now you can't complain anymore. He could not have been nicer to Zelensky. And the thinking is that basically people sold Trump sufficiently on Putin's a loser, right? Trump likes to be with the winner. And Putin basically has become a loser, desperate, whatever. And Trump doesn't like to be tied to the loser. Trump wants to be tied to the winner. Now, Trump is still Trump. He's a taco, right? He flip-flops left and right. His heart is never in the right place. So, we still need to be careful where this goes, but it's good news, at least. Today, it's good news. What else we got? Zelensky, Wall Street Journal reports that Zelensky is pushing a new request for the U.S. to obtain rights to use Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite internet, over Russian airspace to help Ukraine strikes deep into Russia. And that is it for the news. Thank you, Antonio. Oh, now we hang. Let me adjust this. So now thank you, Chezak. Now we have the part of the show where we hang out. We're not going anywhere, don't worry. But I get more comfortable and we hang out and we talk about whatever you want to talk about. So let's talk about whatever you wish to talk about. Okay, Trump. I hate to say something that helps Trump. Initially, it looked like Trump was accidentally calling Zelensky Putin. If you listen very close, and again, far be it from me to help Trump, but I do try to be honest with you guys because I don't want to be lying to you because I want you to trust me. And somebody had just asked, Mark had just asked, didn't he call Zelensky Putin? If you listen, I think I've got the tape actually. If you listen very carefully, you'll hear him say, do you have a question for Putin? And he kind of looks at Zelensky, but then he immediately turns to Zelensky and says Zelensky's name, Zelensky, and then mentions Putin again. He seems to be saying something like, well, you got any questions for Putin? I'll answer them, is what he was saying. Now, it totally looked like he was losing his mind. I've got the quote. Hold on.
Question for President Putin.
Here, listen to this, but I want you to listen carefully because you'll hear him slip in the name Zelensky.
Do you have a question for President Putin, please? Do you have a question for President Putin? Not Zelensky.
See?
Yeah, what would you like to ask him? Because I'm going to ask him that question.
You hear what he said? He goes, no, do you have a question for President Putin? Not Zelensky, Putin. He points to Zelensky. Listen again the second time he says it.
Do you have a question for President Putin? Not Zelensky.
See? Not Zelensky, Putin. Again, I don't want to be the guy to help Donald Trump out of a bind, an embarrassing bind. But on that one, yeah. Only because somebody asked. I didn't want to, I don't want to, it could have been a recovery. Now that's a funny, no, he said not Zelensky, Putin. But he said not Zelensky, Putin. No, that's a good point. Okay, fair enough. It could have been a recovery. That's a fair point, actually. You're right. He could have realized I fucked up, but then he's going to run with it because he does that and say, no, not Zelensky. I mean for Putin. If you have questions for Putin, I'll answer them. Knowing Donald Trump, that's entirely plausible. You're right about that, actually. Who was that on TikTok? Whoever said that on TikTok. Now, yeah, Mike said that was a recovery. I think Mike might be right. Now that I think about it, it might have been Trump going, oh shit, I just called Zelensky Putin. I better run. Because like when he does his speeches and he reads a word wrong, he then runs with it and uses the wrong word and repeats it and tries to create a sentence out of it. You know, you might be right. You might be right on that one. Yeah, okay, fair enough. See, I tried to give Trump not the benefit of the doubt. Thank you, Poppy. I don't want to say the benefit of the doubt, but I heard it and thought, oh, okay, he didn't mean that. You're right. Trump could have very easily been trying to cover his ass for basically making a fool of himself. Anyway, I don't know why a question for Putin makes no sense. Why would you have a question for Putin? It makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely not. Oh, Gene. Ooh, Gene just bought a really cool. I've never seen that before, Gene. The gaming keyboard. That was cool. I'm going to suspect that was a very nice gift. Thank you. Yeah, well, again, you can always tell with the gifts that get more complicated. It's hard to explain. That was a very cool gift. Thank you, Jade. I've never seen that one before. I mean, that's a nicer gift. Part of the reason I haven't seen it, but also I think that's a newer one. That might be a new one because I've never even seen it in the list before. That was very cool. Thank you. Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. What else we got? The weave. Well, he does his weave, but his weave is sometimes just that, like he's screwing up and he's trying to save himself. Right? That was very cool. Oh, McConnell. I've heard nothing about McConnell today. I've heard rumors. I'm not a big fan of rumors. I mean, Jens, I don't know if Jens is here tonight. Jens was trying to point me to this other, thank you for the gift there. Who is that? Was that? No, that was for a cricket. Jens was trying to point me to another website on Facebook that was reporting stuff, but honestly, it's one of those liberal accounts on Facebook that they're like liberal activists, and I'm not going to believe that liberal activists have the inside scoop on Mitch McConnell's health in the hospital. Come on. I mean, I just don't believe it. I really don't. So I get very skeptical. Hear it from CNN, hear it from the Wall Street Journal, okay. But hear it from some liberal activist account on Facebook, I don't buy it. So I didn't do anything with it because I just didn't believe it. Now, I talked to a friend last night who is an EMT and has been for 30 years. And, you know, there's a lot of concern about an 84-year-old man who had cardiac arrest. Let's put it that way. But where is this? Kentucky Governor Beshear demands health update on McConnell. Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky sent a letter to Senator McConnell on Wednesday demanding that he update his constituents on his health. I mean, he's not wrong. The man could be dead. I mean, we don't know what's up. And this is why I get so upset with members of Congress. They do this. They get injured and they could be on death's door and they don't tell you. That guy that was missing for 3 months, Dianne Feinstein, was publicly gone. I mean, she's Democrat, right? She was out of her mind for months, that woman, and she got away with it. You know, he could be. I mean, but again, I'm not sure where David's getting his sources from, but I have a very hard time believing that an 84-year-old man who was found with his heart not working is in good shape, especially a man in that condition. Because they claimed he was working the next day. Okay. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, I mean, we don't know anymore. I think it's pretty weird. I forgot there's an issue of, I know what it is. There's an issue of a timeline. And basically, if McConnell were to drop out now, that guy, Tom Massey, who's a big Trump critic, might be able to get his seat. And they don't want the Trump critic to get the seat. So the concern is that they're basically propping McConnell up like Evita. They did that with Evita. They kind of put a stick up her back and put her in a car in a parade. So she'd be like this. And she was literally not very alive at that time. And she was alive, but barely. And they literally had a stick up her back to hold her in the car. And the concern is that they're keeping McConnell around long enough so that Tom Massey isn't able to win his seat, who's an anti-Trump, who's basically somebody that stands up to Trump. No, this is, the Elaine Chao stuff is really fucked up too. She freaking visited China. The secretary was on a long-planned trip in China to support her family's philanthropic endeavors. During the trip, she met with a number of people, including the U.S. ambassador. The senator's health did not warrant an immediate return to the U.S. Oh, wait, so she's saying she was already in China when this happened. Huh. I don't know. Yeah, dispatchers mentioning cardiac arrest and CPR. Your 84-year-old husband who's not in good shape was found not breathing, and you didn't think it was important to come home? Now, maybe their relationship is, I don't know, right? Not the kind of relationship where one comes home when you're not breathing. I don't know. I think that's pretty weird, frankly. McConnell speaks to Republican leaders, especially the Senate's top two Republicans have spoken individually to Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, according to aides, as the former GOP leader remains in the hospital more than 3 weeks. Aides to McConnell have declined to release any information about his condition. And by the way, if he were in good condition and getting better, they would release details about his condition, fueling speculation about his prognosis and whether he'll be healthy enough at the Capitol. A spokesperson for John Toon said he had spoken with McConnell by phone on Monday and that the two had a lengthy and substantive conversation that covered a variety of topics. Maybe. I don't believe this. Was fully engaged and is eager to get back to the Senate. I don't believe this. I don't believe any of these guys. Yeah. Again, if he's in such great, first of all, they are all making the same statement. If he's in such great shape that he's having substantive discussions with everybody, why aren't you letting us know about why are you hiding details about his health? There'd be no details to hide if he was in great shape and having daily phone calls, plotting strategy with the Senate Majority Leader. You'd say, oh, he's old, he fell. The doctors want to keep him in the hospital a couple of weeks just to be safe. He's got an infection, right? You'd give that reason. But he's totally awake and doing work, and that would be your answer. They're not giving that answer. They're saying things like he had a substantive discussion. Okay, substantive discussion about the issues. How you doing? Okay. We're going to be working on this Iran stuff soon. Okay. And we're going to be working, right? Is that a substantive discussion of the issues? Yes. Right. Well, we had a conversation and no, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to be serious. If somebody's not able to communicate and you say, well, I brought up Iran and he said, okay. And I brought up inflation and the economy and he said, okay. And I brought up the election and he said, okay. Well, you had a substantive discussion about inflation, about the economy, about Iran, and he was interactive. This is the problem with, and I've said this about Dianne Feinstein too, and she's a Democrat. She was the walking dead when she was there. She should not have been there. It was horrible. Senator Burdick, Republican, same thing when I was there 30 years plus years ago when I was working there. Senator Byrd towards the end, horrible state. Strom Thurmond, loopy. They do this. And frankly, you know what too? Gabby Giffords, same thing. She was shot. It was horrible. And correct me if I'm wrong, but she kept her job the whole time that she was out in the hospital. I'm pretty sure. That's wrong. That's just wrong. Again, horrible what happened to her. She's got a position of public trust. You don't keep her in the job. Did she resign eventually? Okay. When did she resign? That's what I mean. I didn't want to get this one wrong, but I remember at the time not being thrilled about her staying on the job. Did she resign after a while or did she resign right away? Maybe I've got it wrong, but I remember not being thrilled with her either about this. But the point is, Democrats and Republicans both do this. It's not just McConnell. It is something with regards to the U.S. Congress where they do this. And it's really, really frustrating to me that they do this. It's really, is it afterwards? See, hold on, let me pull this up and see. No, because let's pull this up and see. Oop, TikTok's making me prove I'm a real person. Hello. There we go, real person. Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, after she was shot, did she stay in office while she was being hospitalized? And how long was she hospitalized? And while she stayed in office?
Yes, she did remain in office after the shooting. Gabrielle Giffords was critically injured in January 2011. Despite the severity of her injuries, she technically retained her congressional seat. She was in intensive rehab for several months and made a highly emotional return to the House floor in August 2011 to vote on a debt ceiling bill. She then officially resigned her seat in January 2012 to focus on her recovery.
Okay. She voted once in a year. I remembered correctly because I was not thrilled about what she did. And she's a Democrat. That's what I'm saying. This is not a partisan issue. She should not have kept that seat. It was horrible what happened to her. She should have resigned immediately because this is a public trust. This is a public trust. If you are not allowed, if you are not even allowed, if you are not capable of doing the job, you should step down. We are not talking about somebody at your company and ADA issues or anything else. We are talking about a public trust. And to me, that is like sacrosanct. If you are an elected official and you can't do the job, you need to leave. And these guys, every single one of them get into this weird, I was chosen and whatever the hell. Even frankly, even the bullshit that Farage is doing in the UK now. He got caught in some scandals and he's going to resign and run again because if I get elected again, then it proves that the public doesn't care that I committed all of these unethical things. Remember, he took like a $5 or $6 million gift from somebody, right? Like, well, it's okay if they vote for me again. To me, that's part of just the ongoing scam aspect of the whole thing, right? As if you sort of deserve it. ADA probably doesn't apply to Congress anyway, but I think the principles are still worth considering, right? But I think when you're an elected official, we don't play ADA games. Elected officials can't do the job. You need to step down. Yeah, I'm not surprised that Trump has no idea how McConnell's doing because Trump doesn't like McConnell anyway. I mean, but Trump doesn't like him anyway, so who knows, right? Right? Yeah, Keene is the guy on leave for depression in New Jersey. Oh, not 3 months. He's been gone at least 4, if not longer. And then gave some very weird explanation about it being depression. Yeah. Very weird story with him too. And again, it's the arrogance of and again, you're being paid. I mean, why is he being paid? Why is Keene being paid? It's oh God, anyway. It is very selfish. It's very selfish. So, Anyway. What else, guys? Otherwise, maybe we'll call it quits shortly. I don't know. It's not just greed. I think some of them is greed, but I think there's a sense of privilege with some of these guys. There's a sense of privilege with these guys that they feel like they're the chosen ones. It's an ego thing. Exactly. It's an ego thing. I mean, Feinstein, my God, how did Dianne Feinstein not know that she was incapable of doing the job? Come on, And Quentin Burdick, he was terrible. When I was there in North Dakota, oh my God, he was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. You know, yeah, JTA. I don't know. You know, Graham Platner. Yeah, that was another good one. The guy that's the Democratic candidate from Maine in the Senate race, who's just like, I mean, the problem is with this guy, it's smoke and fire. Like, I was willing to overlook some of the accusations because we need to, like, the history of the country is at stake, or the future. Thank you, Cheryl. But now it looks like he was credibly accused of rape by a former girlfriend. And you're like, you know, I mean, and I will tell you again, as a lawyer, but also journalist, and I've worked on this stuff. Not every accusation is true. They're not. And this was my problem when people said believe women. No, don't believe women. Take accusations seriously and investigate them, but you should never believe any accusation on its face. You should take it seriously and be very worried about it if it sounds credible, and you investigate and you find out and you take it seriously and you find out the answer. But people who tell you believe anyone are full of shit. You should never believe an accusation. I'm saying when I'm saying something like this, something like big like this, you never believe it just because someone claims it. You need to investigate it and take it seriously. This woman's allegation sounds real to me. It sounds real. And unfortunately, there's so much smoke surrounding this that I don't believe what I'm hearing. Doesn't matter your daughter. Someone says you believe it's your daughter. If it's your daughter, you're biased. I'm telling you as a lawyer in a private business, private company. Thank you, Angela. Private company. Absolutely, positively in a private company. If somebody makes an accusation, you better damn well prove it, because you're going to get your asses sued off as a private company. If you can't prove the accusation and you decide to fire somebody because somebody made a nasty accusation about them, and your only bit of proof is, well, if it was from your daughter, you'd believe them. So you should believe that woman and fire that manager at the company because you just per se believe women. Well, you're going to lose your job and you're going to lose millions of dollars if you do that. That isn't the way the law works. It's not how due process works. It's also not the way you get to the truth, because what happens is a couple things. One, people lie. Two, people get the story wrong. In other words, you could have people who are just dishonest and lie. Oh, and they do. Okay, that's the first thing. Two, there are people who are telling the truth, but they get the story wrong. They think they were wrong. Remember that story a couple of years ago? And I'm glad all the women agreed, because I put the story out there and said, what do you think? And all the women said, oh, she's crazy. That woman who accused, it's not Nicki Minaj. Who's the comedian whose name is like Minaj? His last name is like that. He's like South Asian or something. He's very funny. South Asian or something. What's his name? Who the woman accused him. She went on the bad date with him and got pissed. Remember? And she wrote the article for like Teen Vogue or something like that. And it was a Hasan Minhaj. Oh, it is Minaj. Oh, that's funny. It is Minaj. I was going to say, I keep thinking Minaj. Hasan Minhaj. She writes this article, and the article is just bizarre. And she's complaining about stuff like, he ordered my wine and he didn't ask me which color I wanted. And you're like, okay. Right? I mean, okay. And she went on from there. And basically, they basically went back to the apartment, got naked, started massaging. She decided, I think she didn't want to massage anymore, but didn't really want to get dressed. She still wanted to hang out with him naked. And after a while, he wanted to start massaging again, and she was naked. And I'm reading this going, and all the women, I just put the article out there. I mean, it was out there. And I said, women, help me here. And all the women who read it said, this woman's out to lunch. I mean, it was Aziz Ansari. Well, it wasn't Hasan Minhaj. Thank you. You're right. It was Aziz Ansari. That's exactly right, Carroll. Yep. It was Aziz Ansari. Yep. I didn't realize there was a comedian Minhaj. That's funny. Yeah. And the women were like, Now, the woman who wrote the article, she absolutely positively believed her story. The woman who wrote the article believed that she was assaulted, believed that she was sexually harassed or assaulted or whatever. The other women who read the article didn't believe her. They thought she was full of shit. That's the problem. And by the way, and then there's the third category, the woman or man who alleges that they were assaulted, and they were. But you can't know it just because the accusation has been made, because people lie, people perceive the truth differently, people will misremember the story. It's any case. But I said, I have not done this. I am a lawyer by training, but I've done this in journalism. I've interviewed a lot of witnesses to a lot of, especially on like civil rights stuff. I've interviewed a lot of witnesses, and they allege something on civil rights stuff. And as you dig down and interview them, the story starts to change. I forgot one I was told about the hospital discriminating and against a gay couple. And I remember I was interviewing them and I was digging down, and I remember there were parts of the story of the hospital discriminating that were starting to unravel when I started to ask them exactly what the hospital did. And it was like, well, now the story was still a solid discrimination story overall, but there were allegations in the story that were not correct because they kind of alleged it. And when I pushed him, he said, well, okay, they didn't really say anything about that. And I'm like, okay, but you said they did. Okay, move on. It happens. People, and again, I don't think they were being intentionally lying. I think people screw up sometimes when they give the story. So thus my point, you take accusations seriously, you don't necessarily believe them. But when you're Graham Platner and you've had way too many things in the row, starting with tattoos that seem to be NZ tattoos, I start to lose a lot of good faith in you. By the time we get to the previous girlfriend accusing you of rape, I'm starting to kind of feel like I don't believe you anymore. That's the problem that happens. It's sort of boy that cried wolf in reverse, right? It's not boy that cried wolf. It's boy that said, oh, there's no wolf. You know, there's been too many accusations against this guy at this point that I'm starting to go, he's creeping me out. He's creeping me out. And I would also say the bigger problem in politics, there's too many allegations now. He's toast. He's just damaged goods now. Whether they're true or not, it's too many now. You know, that it is like, it's like a three strikes, but there's a political three strikes, meaning at some point you become such damaged goods that it doesn't matter anymore. It's public relations. Companies as well. At some point, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. If the public perception is that you're wrong, you've got a problem. And you can't just say, but it's not fair that you're perceiving me as doing something bad. If the perception's out there, and this guy at this point, I don't think he can fix it. You know? When there's that much smoke, I think there often is fire. When there's that much smoke. That's what I said. I like to not give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm very careful on what I believe when I hear stories, depending on the sources and things like that. But this guy, there's been too much. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, because, you know, well, I don't know that he would have beaten Susan Collins anyway, to be honest. You know? How did Dems get him to run to beat Collins? I'm pretty sure he's a DSA guy, is he not? Wasn't this all the DSA people who got him? I'm pretty sure. Whether he's a DSA guy or not, he's their guy. But they were the ones, they're the ones who got him. Absolutely positively. I've been following this the last several days. It was that crowd who wanted him and thought he was a good progressive. Not just DSA, because I've seen Democratic Socialists. Not just the Democratic Socialists, but they, and I would say the very far left, he was their guy. And they screwed up. I mean, what's his face? That Arab American guy in Michigan is still putting out. Is it not El Said? What's his last name? I know the guy's name too, and I can't remember. The one who's running for Senate or whatever the hell it is in Michigan. He's putting out weird statements about it. Said, he put out some weird statement and said, well, this is a very serious accusation what has been made against Graham Platner, just as it is serious that Susan Collins is a corporate shill. And people went, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm getting it pretty close. And people went, you're accusing Susan Collins of being a corporate shill and putting it on the same level as Graham Platner accused of rape. Maybe, and also having NZ tattoos, maybe one is worse than the other. Maybe, like, because he's still playing an equivalence game. So yeah. That crowd, a lot of that crowd. Yeah, I don't know where. Like I said, I kind of like AOC lately, but I don't know where AOC was on him. I don't know. I think other Democrats. Well, it depends. Other Democrats did support Platner because he was the nominee. Other more mainstream Dems did support him. Anyway, it's a fucked up story. It's a very fucked up story, unfortunately. So anyway, 7:15, guys. Sanders is DSA. Yes. Whether he's officially DSA, Sanders is a socialist, so he's DSA. Yes. He's part of that crowd. Whether he's officially or not, who knows, but that's interesting. AOC didn't. Well, AOC, you never know. I'll give AOC credit if she didn't support him. Maybe it was the NZ stuff and stuff. That's it. Was it because of the tattoos and stuff? If it was, I'll give her credit. I'll give her credit if that was the deal. Interesting. Platner should drop out. He's got to drop out by next Monday for the party to be able to pick the next person. So that's the deal. That's the deal. So he needs to get out soon. Anyway. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off. We're at 7:15. This is what I do to protect my voice nowadays. We go for a good hour 15 and the voice seems to do pretty well. Thank you for joining, guys. I will be back tomorrow night as usual, 6 o'clock Eastern time US, our usual. And that's about it. So thank you for the gifts. I'm yawning again. Thank you for the gifts. AOC's got a lot more savvy. No, I'm very impressed with her politically. Very impressed. But I will see you guys tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Okay. All right. Have a good night, everybody. All right. We'll start with Discord. Bye-bye. A lot of you are still on Discord. All right. YouTube, Substack, Facebook. Bye-bye. Bam.